Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Skippy Lowe Looks at Hollywood. Today's guest is actor-producer David Knapp. Joining David are Broadway star Peter Van Norden and actress Nita Talbot. And now, here's the man of the half hour, Skippy Lowe.
Knapp.
Yes.
My God, Montecito. Is it Montecito?
Montecito Company, right?
But you are from Montecito.
No,
That's,
I'm not.
But
no, we have.
You're not. But you have a house.
Parents have a house up there.
Your parents have.
Yeah, that's the name
Is
of
that
the production company.
Your production company. Actor, producer. Now, producing a new show in town.
Yes. Starting October, previews October 4th, and we open October 10th.
Jailbirds
on Broadway.
What's that Jailbirds on Broadway all about?
Well, you see the big marquee on the Sunset Strip now. We're at the Tiffany Theater,
right?
Which is probably the most comfortable and I think probably the most beautifully designed off-Broadway theater in Los Angeles. And so we're very excited about it.
Los Angeles, getting a lot of it.
Yes, we are indeed.
But you producing a lot of shows nowadays.
We've done 9 shows since 1982.
Really?
So we have done a bit. But you know, it's interesting because about 30% of the shows in New York now, Broadway and off-Broadway, emanate from Los Angeles. And the rest come from London. I don't think New York's instigating too many productions at this juncture. No, but about 30% of all the shows that are major off-Broadway shows in New York and Broadway shows got their start in Los Angeles, were developed in Los Angeles.
Tell us about Jailbirds on Broadway. Musical?
Yes, it's a musical comedy. It's a cross between some of the 50 styles of shows. I guess I don't like to compare it to anything because it's a very unique concept, but it's...
Don't compare it.
All right. I would say it has some of the style and mechanisms of shows like Guys and Dolls and Pajama Game. It also has some kind of burlesque quality to it, baggy pants kind of comedy, a wonderful score, and great choreography by Rob Barron, Bill Steinkilner and Sherry Eichen, who are the 2 writers of Cheers, which is, I think, number 3 in the nation right now. And Jeff Rizzo wrote the music, and the show is directed by a brilliant young man named Glenn Casal, who started in Los Angeles not too long ago, and has done a wonderful job with the show.
How many people in the show?
Well, we have 11 principals and then 5 understudies. 11.
You're 11 people. That's a big show.
Yes, it is.
It's a great theater, though. The Tiffany Theater is a lovely, lovely little theater. I went to see a show there just recent, and I think that's one of the finest little theaters in Los Angeles.
I think it's probably the best.
It is?
Yeah, I think it's the well.
Because it's on the Strip, or what?
Because of the accoutrement of the theater, the fact it's air conditioned, and the location, which is mid-Sunset Strip on the south side, so it's easily accessible and has great parking. Which is, you know, I mean, it sounds trivial, but that's a very important factor in theater in Los Angeles.
David Knapp.
Get a place to park your car, yes.
Where is David Knapp originally from? How did David Knapp?
I'm a 6th-generation Californian.
Society boy. You are a society boy. Let's face it. Blue blood coming into Hollywood. Come on, David.
You know, that's a very negative image in this town. No. People don't like that.
They don't like it.
They don't like that.
Okay, Brooks Brothers.
They prefer you to, you know, to come up from the ghetto somewhere. It's more popular.
Why show business, David? I mean, you really, you know.
Because I was brought up in show business. My family was not directly in show business, but we knew a great many people in show business. My godfather was Basil Rathbone. My cousin was Leo Carrillo. And Delmer Daves was sort of my mentor. He gave me my first job in films as an actor, my first job as an associate producer. So I was sort of brought up in kind of a God, I guess you'd say Hollywood thing, although it was Pacific Palisades and Brentwood, but still the Hollywood genre.
First movie. What was your first film?
A film called Parish. Warner Brothers with Troy Donahue and Claudette Colbert.
God, that was a great movie.
Well, it made a lot of money.
It was a good movie.
It was a good commercial film, yes it was. Diane McBain was in it, and Dean Jagger. Carl Malden.
Television. Lots of television you've done, David?
Yes.
You sound kind of bored right now when I'm acting. Come on,
No,
David.
I don't do much
Yes,
acting
you don't
anymore.
like
I
to-
don't
you
do
don't like
much
to talk
acting.
about
No, I
yourself
don't.
as an actor?
I don't find myself all that fascinating. But no, I mean, I've done a lot of television
But
shows.
now you're a producer and...
Yeah. Well, I still act occasionally. I did a couple of episodic shows this year, and I still keep my
And you have a
my
house
finger
in
in the wa-
Montecito?
Well, my parents have a house in Montecito.
Is that why you named your company Montecito?
Right.
I see. Your mother, she owns some land where the Veterans Hospital is. Tell me about that.
No. That was a family land grant many years ago. There was I'm going back to the King of Spain, mid-1700s, mid-18th century, and my great-great-grandmother Arcadia Bandinita Baker gave that property to the United States government for a veterans hospital after the Civil War, on the condition it only be used as a veterans hospital.
I see.
There's about 300 acres there between Westwood and Brentwood, and then the U.S. government subsequently has infringed on that agreement. They put in a federal building, they put in a baseball field, and Tom Bradley was even trying to put in a housing development there for a low-income housing thing. And that wasn't part of the agreement, so that's why we're in litigation.
Here's a lady next to you sitting, Anita Talbot. God almighty, you look lovely, darling.
Thank you.
Blue and pearls and all.
Yes, and my little
Nita,
bit.
you know David Knapp. You met him in the green room.
We met in the room.
Nita Talbot. From Bronx. She is from Bronx, back east. Bronx, is it?
Harlem originally.
Harlem.
Born Harlem, New York. I mean,
But you came out to Hollywood years and years ago, Nita Talbot.
Yes.
As a blonde, under contract.
Yes.
What studio?
Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Now, what happened? They
You're
were trying
kidding.
To make a Lauren?
They signed me to be a threat to Lauren Bacall. P.S. I didn't threaten her,
Is that it?
I used to go around, imitating her and wearing the clothes, and it was snowed that year. It was a disaster, and then they dropped me. It was terrible.
Lauren Bacall.
Yeah.
She interfered in your career then, did she?
Well, yeah, in a way, kind of, yeah.
Tell me,
Yeah.
first movie, what was it?
The very, well,
You've
last
done
time,
so many.
Yeah, well, Bundle of Joy really was the first, part.
Eddie Fisher?
Yeah, and Debbie Reynolds with
Debbie
the baby. Yeah, and Norman Torres.
Was it really your first?
Yes.
That was a kind of a cute movie.
Oh, I told you that when I opened my mouth, Eddie Fisher fainted because I don't sing too well. As this ideal for a real editor. Well, but I have to.
You're very nice, David.
You mustn't say anything.
Truthful.
Mothers, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. No, I adored them and I was so thrilled and excited. And Tommy Noonan, great cast, just wonderful people.
That name, Nita Talbot, it's not your real name.
No.
I mean, you had like a name, a stripper's name. I mean, it sounded like a stripper's name.
Ginger Gray.
Ginger Gray.
Yeah.
That's like a dancer, a burlesque dancer.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. Who gave you the name?
Well, I took it because I was nicknamed Ginger. My real name is Anita Sokol. It's Russian. I don't know, So
Russian, yes.
And then it was always Ginger Sokol. And then when I became a Conover model, they said, it's a terrible name. You got to change it. Harry Conover said. So I was going with a hockey player at the time, George Grady. Cute. And I said, that sounds kind of Ginger Grady, but that sounds even worse. So I said, Ginger Grady. So I went up and he said, why don't you just take out the D? Harry Conover said, and that's I went to Parents Magazine, but I was so big for my age, I was like 13, they kicked me out and kicked me upstairs because I was like huge, 5'8" at like 16. So that's how I got to be a model, and that's how I got the name Ginger. So when I came to Hollywood, they said, Ginger Gray, sounds like a stripper.
Yes,
so we fooled around with names and reverted back to the real one. Anita, took off the A, and we kind of figured
but you know what I
would
like?
go good with
I
it.
like the story.
Can I squeeze you? Oh, you're so sweet. I love you.
I like that. Sounds like a stripper.
It does.
No.
Well, you've never been to a burlesque theater, then.
Yes,
Any ginger though, candy bar. That sounds exactly. Ginger is like a stripper.
Nita. Jack Carson. On the Jack Carson show.
Dearly love him.
Wasn't he great?
Oh,
Gave you the name.
he gave me the name.
Nita.
Yes,
Tell
he
me.
said, Nita, I had a friend, Vera Newton, who's Vera Budnick. He said, Anita Slotnick, Vera Botnick. He said, my God, change your names. And that's how it happened. He said,
How has
terrible.
it worked with Jack Carson? What a genius. What a wonderful human being and funny.
I love
Did you learn a lot?
Oh, yeah, did I? Yeah.
Was it tough for a young girl from the Bronx coming to Hollywood and then Going back to New York.
Very tough. But I got my break from
Casting
Jack.
couch there?
No, I got
No?
Jack gave me. I never went.
Never?
Never with Jack. We're just dear friends.
Okay.
He was madly in love with Lola at the time. He's going through a divorce with Albright, but he was. I just adored him. He was a genius. I think. Did you ever see him in that picture with Rosalind Russell? It was so brilliant.
Oh, yes. What was
Oh,
that?
I can't think. It was like. Oh, he was.
He was a wonderful actor.
many films.
Yes,
I
so
can't
many.
say it was
He was
one
a
of the-
marvelous actor.
Anyway, he gave me my first break, Skip, on his
So
show
he
with
is-
Sweeney and March. Now, Bob Sweeney's now directing, of course, Hal's dead. But as a little walk-on, where they follow me with a camera
Right.
in a black dress, I slink, no dialogue, believe it or not, and I stole the show. It was brilliant. And then at the end, they follow me, pointed to the derriere, and I'm dressed up like an Eskimo. So it's like they followed me to the North Pole, and I got like a standing. I loved it. And that
Charles
was
Laughton.
my beginning.
Tell me about
Oh.
Charles Laughton.
Fascinating. I learned so
studied.
much. Yes.
Studying
Checking
Charles
from the earthquake. Checking if everything's here. Wait, no.
Charles
So-
Laughton.
There's a footnote for today.
Yes, what a morning. We started off with a bang. Let's see
Yeah,
how we
we
go
had
out.
an earthquake here today, ladies and gentlemen.
6-1
A real
on the
bad
Richter.
one.
Oh boy.
6.1, folks.
It began the Oktoberfest.
We're okay.
Whoosh. Anyway, Charles was the most fascinating man I think I've ever met in my life. I happen to adore Peter Lawford, Arthur Treacher, Charles, all these Englishmen who came into
You
my
worked
life.
with all of these
all of them.
wonderful
I
actors.
studied Shakespeare with Laughton, onomatopoetica. Oh yeah, I was many things. Beautiful
Nita Talbot,
experience.
shut in Shakespeare. Why?
Yes.
But why? You wanted to be. I mean, that's the way to do it. To be a good actor.
He accepted me, but he scared me. I hate to say this, Charles. I mean, well, he's not going to hear me now. But Elsa, too, I think, is not with us. But anyway, yeah, they interviewed me for the book when she was writing it. But he just terrified me, so I didn't really do my best work because he scared me by the fact that he accepted me. And I was very insecure in those days. You know, I still am. Well, nothing's changed. But the point is, whenever he left to go on his Don Juan and Heller's tour, I would do all this brilliant work. When he was away, he scared me. But then I wouldn't let him defeat me. It was a very interesting relationship. I can't quite go into the entire thing, but then he coached me on the side alone. He said, "You're on the horizon." When he saw me in Best of Broadway, I met him in the Stork Club, and I knew I'd done it. See, because I was afraid, and I wasn't progressing as the way he just frightened me, which I don't know why, you know. But I won in the end, you know. He said, "You're on," and I took all the reviews in Stage Door.
You
eating
stayed
the
around
banana.
Hollywood, though. You stayed around Hollywood. You battled it here.
I
You had
battled
tough
for a
times
while, but
here.
I went back, Skip, and
You
I
did?
began all over again. Yeah, because I was only a kid. I had no experience, really. I should have stayed and studied, you know. and
No, I'm
gone
talking
abroad.
about when you went back. Then
Oh,
you
and I
came
went back. Oh, yeah, I went back to start all over again after
Right,
being
right,
dropped for Mourners.
David, you know, it's tough for a young girl to come from the Bronx and then she's.
Oh, God, and they put you on the
Putting your
train
I was
alone?
raised in
You
New
know.
York City. It wasn't a problem.
What do you mean
were
it
a
wasn't a
theater-
problem? You just get raped and mugged. You walk down any
No,
street.
I never got raped.
Were you
and
doing the
mugged.
theater in New York, acting? in
Yes,
the
I've
theater?
done shows in New York,
You have?
certainly, as an actor and a producer.
We have a gentleman
I
from
went
New
to the
York.
Neighborhood Playhouse in New York.
I see. We have a gentleman from New York who is in
We
the
sure
play
do.
and wonderful Broadway actor, Peter Van Norden. How are you?
Good, Skip.
You're
How are you?
in the show of Jailbirds on Broadway?
I am. I'm in it.
Yes. Tell me about Broadway. How did you...
Broadway.
First Broadway show.
First Broadway show, Romeo and Juliet.
You're kidding.
Circle in the Square.
Uh-huh.
Pamela Payton Wright,
Shakespeare.
Paul Rudd.
It's wonderful
Mm-hmm.
to be in
Yeah, my first Broadway show. I played a tiny little role of a friar.
Uh-huh.
a friar.
Yeah,
Interesting. But where's Peter Van Norden from? Where are you originally from?
the Bronx.
Are you really?
I'm
Really?
from the Bronx.
You're from
657 Crotona Park North.
Decatur Avenue in the Bronx.
Ah,
Well, I went to PS4.
54.
PS44.
are we trying?
Went to the
St.
same
Lucy's.
school.
Yeah.
St. Louis.
Did you
a
learn
nice
at PS4?
Catholic
A
school.
nice Catholic school.
We're all Catholics here.
Tell me something. I would like to know very. Jailbirds on Broadway. Having fun doing it?
Oh.
In rehearsals now?
Oh, it's an absolute joy. I mean, first of all, the part I play is
What is the part?
the most outrageous thing
What
in the
is the
world.
part?
First of all, it's two roles. The first part is a character named Maud, who is a woman prisoner. Takes place in in the Secaucus Correctional Institute for Women in New Jersey. And it's that sort of half parody, half spoof on all those
Yeah.
1950s B prison movies with women. And Maud is, of course, the
Idol of
Like
Pino.
Cage.
Idol of Pino.
Cage.
Ah, perfect.
I was in
Oh, I
it.
love it.
Cage.
Concrete Jungle,
Who's
Cage,
doing it?
Patrick,
Parker, Warner Brothers,
Jen Sterling, Hope Emerson,
You
name
don't mind if we
them.
take the
No,
show
no,
away
that's
from
all
you?
right.
Ellen Torby, what a cast. Fabulous. Agnes Moorehead.
Who's
And she
Moorehead
slams
was
that
my
door and
acting
she
coach
says
out
she'll
there.
be back.
Agnes Moorehead.
Remember how it ended? Agnes was. Oh.
Would you tell me who's
believe
doing
it.
the part? The lady.
So we didn't ever let him finish
no,
more
go
Peter.
ahead.
All right.
Oh, well,
Go ahead.
The first character is
Fern Fitzgerald and
Yeah.
Constance Harcar, who was a young lady who came out here from New York on spec this summer, and her agent said, come out a couple of days early because they're auditioning for this show, and there's just a Chinaman's chance in hell that it might work out. She did, and she got the part.
Sing,
so there's a
dance.
kind of a sort of a Cinderella story there, right? And Patty Colombo was in it, and Elmarie Wendell, Nancy Shear. There's a wonderful cast. Ralph Bruno, Richard Doran,
never finished.
Roger Castellano.
But he
I'm
never
sorry.
finished his role.
Right,
And
what-
so then
well,
you
at
become
any
a
rate,
man.
the first character is this character named
And-
Maud, who is
right.
this absolute killer of an inmate.
And who's the second one?
The second character is the second act takes place on Broadway, as the title might suggest. The second character is a character named Caesar King, who is probably the most disgusting, revolting Broadway producer to hit the boards in many years, I think. But he's
I'd rather see a snake than a Hollywood producer.
based
Great
on quite a few
Odette's
people
line.
I've met.
Peter Van Norden, you have done a lot of television here in town, I understand.
Sure.
St. Elsewhere, you have
And
done
elsewhere, Hill Street,
Hill Street. You've done it all.
Cheers.
You keep busy here?
Yes. Thank
New
God.
York? Rather stay in New York or here?
Right now, I like being out here. It's been very good for me. It's been very good
has?
for my family. There's just much more work out here right now.
How about you? Nita, no.
I
Tell me,
would
you
love-
stayed here or New York, or you go by coast?
No, never since I was mugged in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Oh, come on,
I'm
let's not put New York. You can get mugged here now. Don't put New York
I'd be in Bellevue
down.
if they took the bag. No, I can't handle it anymore. It's not
Why?
the same city. You walk across 8th Avenue, you get killed. You kidding? I mean, it's like a city. It's so ugly. My daughter came back with conjunctivitis and laryngitis. She says, Mommy, nothing will ever kill you. She said, you're a survivor. Fort Apache in the Bronx. She said, how did you do it, Mommy? Because it's true. Killed a million people with these bags on 5th Avenue. I had to learn how
Did
to
you
survive.
really?
It is a terrible place. I never want to go back there. I'd love to go to Europe. And I'm not overly mad about Hollywood, but I would love to really do something in Europe.
Not
Phil.
madly over.
New York was once the great city of the world. I'm sorry. I mean, it's terrifying what goes on there, you know, to go back. They lock doors.
What's new and exciting in Nita Talbot's life?
Well,
right
I'm
now?
going to see bring me the head of Dobie Gillis at Fox. I hope it's a
Today?
thing. Yeah. And I just did a wonderful pilot with Bill Daly and Connie Stevens called Father and...
Stevens was in Paris.
Sure. Yes,
She was.
She certainly
She's
was.
wonderful.
With
And I
Troy.
think she's starring in this Dobie. Isn't it fun?
Give her my love.
I will. I hope it
seen her for
sells.
years.
She looks gorgeous.
She's
She's
wonderful. She's a
wonderful.
very talented lady,
Oh,
a wonderful
fantastic.
lady.
We have the same birthday. We got along like this. Anyway, I'm mad about her, and I just pray it's about a vet and an ex-wife, Helen, played by Connie, and I'm the vet's assistant, and very funny, two darling children, Heidi and Jason, and then Carmine Caridi's in it, and Bunny Summers. Wonderful cast. And Melissa Steinberg. So I'm just praying it's Taft Entertainment.
Nita Talbot. Looking, through all your accomplishments. In Hollywood, New York, through all your accomplishments. Are you satisfied right now? Come on, tell me. Are you?
No, never.
No? Why?
Never be, because I mean, I haven't really ever had the opportunity to show how really funny I can be and how really
That's right.
tragic I can be.
That's what I'm looking
and that's the thing I want. It's not like I say polish up the Oscar, but it's like I've never in a long, many years had a juicy, terrific role. It's like here or there.
Hollywood doesn't, it's not fair to certain
It's-
actors, is
no.
there, Peter or
No.
David?
But life isn't fair.
life
Skip.
isn't.
Right.
Whoever said
But whoever
we were
said,
born
true.
with
But
Good God,
sometimes
practicing
good
everything's
actors are
gonna be
never
fair.
noticed.
Yeah. And some
Great
bad ones
actors
become
and
very
become successful. Why is that, David?
Well,
You're a producer. Why?
I think in film, Skip, I don't know if you folks will agree with me or not, I think for stardom, major stardom, there's a certain intangible quality that has very little to do with talent. If you are talented and have it too, that's a great asset.
Right.
But there is something very special. Somebody used to call it, I think, they're referring to Clara Bow as it. It's that something, that magnetism, that's something the audience feels comfortable with you. They feel secure with you. They know you'll take care of the bad guy at the end of the picture. Whereas other actors who are 3 times as talented will tour around in summer stock and regional companies for 30, 40 years at Seattle Rep, Tyrone Guthrie in Minneapolis, and be highly regarded by their peers, and nobody else gives a tinker's toot.
Nita Talbot, you're a very funny lady. You should have your own series.
I know.
Really, your own series, because you paid your dues. I hate that word. You paid your dues. I mean, but it's
a lot.
But you like to do dramatic roles
I
too.
love to do. I did two Desire Under Eugene O'Neill plays, of all things. Iceman Cometh and Desire Under the Elms. I mean, it was, what an experience with Ed Asner and Marty Balsam.
See, when I say faces,
UCLA.
I think Anita Talbot has faces. You know, when they say faces.
Yeah, but all they remember, Skip, is
but-
Hogan Darling on
Yes,
Hogan's
yes.
Heroes.
They think
I've done
pretty
it
face.
40 years, that's all they think, Hogan Darling. I said, please, no, I love that show.
Was it tough for you, Peter Van Norden, coming to Hollywood? And was it tough at the beginning of your career coming back from New York here? Or you were brought into New York? Or
I was fortunate in the way I came out here, very fortunate. I did a show in New York, a big musical,
Right.
Called Little Johnny Jones. It played the Dorothy Chandler out here.
He did. Little Johnny Jones is
it
the
played-
musical.
Right, George M.
Wonderful.
Cohan musical.
George M. Cohan.
David Cassidy did it out here.
And that's who did it,
Donny
right.
Osmond did it back in New York. It played all of one performance in New York, both acts.
What part did you do in that?
I played the villain in that. I played the villain who you love to hate, Anthony Anstey.
Yes.
We had a
show.
wonderful
It's a
time.
cute
It was a show, we did it for 2 years. We
Yes.
toured the entire country with it. But anyway, that show played here. It played here at the Dorothy Chandler for whatever, a couple of months. And there was enough notice for me at the time,
Yes.
casting people, producers, that kind of thing. They all said, yeah, I'd never been here before. And they all said, you don't think of coming out here. There's some work for you out here. It's an interesting type.
Peter is a great type.
He's a marvelous
superb
type. Yes,
actor and
yes.
a wonderful comedian, and that's
Plus
that's
he
a
can
big help. There's a
sing.
lot. There are a lot of actors that are very. You give them a scene where they can chew up the scenery and they're fine.
Yes.
But how many people can be subtly funny? I mean, and he is. He's absolutely super. I love the man.
David Knapp.
I'd love to come
As a
see it.
producer,
Can we?
We are going
Well,
to.
yes,
Can you-
when it opens.
Can you
What kind of a question is that? No, we don't want anyone to
what's
see
the
it.
top-
We're doing a
what's the
special
top
club.
there,
We're
the
going to run it
Tiffany?
for one night. Nobody allowed in.
David Knapp, is it difficult when sometimes, like you audition for this, when you see people,
Yeah.
you see a lot of people?
Oh yes, we saw.
You see
about-
what you're-
I would say we saw close to 150 actors for these.
Do you know
11
actually
roles.
what you're really looking for, or do they bring it to you sometimes? The
Oh
actors
no,
bring-
sometimes no, but you're absolutely right. No, sometimes somebody walks in and
they
bang,
bring it
it's
to
there.
you,
It was
or-
that way with Peter.
He brought his
and actually somebody else had been set in the part.
Yes.
And got a major film for 7 weeks and canceled. And we were down to the wire, and we saw about 8 more actors. And Peter walked into the rehearsal hall, and everybody sort of looked at each other. If
That
you can
was
just
it.
sing and act.
Yes.
Which he
And
did
he did.
both, but he's also a very fine singer. He's a Renaissance man.
You study singing? Did you?
Renaissance man from the Bronx.
Did you study it in the
well,
Bronx?
you are.
Did
Why
you?
not?
I studied with Sandy Meisner in New York
Why?
acting.
How did Peter get into the theater? What made you decide
That's
the
a good
theater?
question.
As a child, or
Yes, as a
Tell me.
child. My family could not have been further away from the
theater?
show business. My father is a private investigator and a lawyer. My
Really?
mother is a housewife. We lived on Long Island after we moved
Right,
out of the
Jamaica.
Bronx. Lynbrook.
Yes.
But my parents were real interested in Broadway musicals, and there was always the music in the house. The Broadway musical scores, always. And they had a major effect on
They
me
got
as a
you
child.
subliminally.
Yes.
No question about it.
People
They
around-
wanted this for you.
No
Peter.
question.
People around that area is strictly, they're geared for the theater. They really are.
Oh, absolutely.
More
I was
so
myself.
than the West Coast people.
Absolutely.
But it's coming here, though. The theater's coming. We just interviewed
because there's
Dorothy
so
Lyman, who is wonderful. She has
Sure.
a new theater for directors. It's ADT or something
have
like
the
that.
card in
it
my
doesn't
purse,
matter.
ADT in
It's something-
Lexington.
It's in
Yes.
Lexington, and it's for directors. And she is opening, and it's a wonderful little theater. And
Quality of Mercy.
Quality
isn't
of
it?
Mercy is appearing right now, and it's good theater. Theaters are coming to LA, lots of it, and I'm very happy for that. What do you see about it, David? Do you see it?
I think it has to. First of all, so many people from New York are
They're
now
here.
out here,
They're here.
so they
Exactly.
can work. So I
They're
think
here.
by sort
here.
of converse ways that we have to. There's going to be ultimately much more theater out here, and I'd love to see some medium-sized houses
I'd like to
take
see
over.
actors get paid.
What's
3, 4.
David Knapp's?
We
Yeah.
not much, but we do. All our actors
you?
get it. Yes, we do.
That's
Even
very
though
nice.
technically this
A
is a
little
waiver
bit.
show, but as somebody said, the only thing waiver about this show is the theater.
Yeah.
But the rest of it
So
is
you do
no,
pay,
no.
that's very
yeah,
nice.
Not
A little
very
like
much,
gas
but,
money,
but they
something.
all have first refusal when it moves, and they also once we get to a certain point with the books, they get a piece
Did
of
you
the
swing
action.
that with equity? That small
Oh yes.
contract.
No. I did that myself. That's a Beaujeu.
Oh,
That's
how
something,
nice.
something
That's-
our company, the Montecito company, always does with all actors.
That's
We always
very
pay
nice.
them. We don't pay them much, but then hopefully, if the show is a success everybody's going to, because all the actors have
That's
a piece
great.
of the action.
What does
Like
David-
Olivetti, yeah.
It's
you
a
know,
rather,
it's like
although I'm anything but, it's a rather socialist concept in the theater.
No, but it's
hell.
like Olivetti. He shares the profits in the type.
David
It's
Knapp.
very,
Yes.
That's very
Yeah.
nice.
What's David Knapp going to do? I mean, producer,
Well, we've got a
director,
project. We've got a project
I mean,
now.
what do you really want?
No, I
David
love.
Knapp? What do you want?
I enjoy
I
doing.
mean, you don't need this, you know.
Yes, I do.
You
Yes,
do?
of
For
course
yourself.
I need it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean,
What do
you
you-
know, a multitude of reasons. No, I'm also going to, we have a television show now, which hopefully will be going to pilot in the next 12 months, called Cop Swap, which will be shot in Los Angeles and Sydney,
Great.
and which we've developed with Tom Wiley and Mary Rocco. And there's a lot of interest in it, so we're very enthusiastic about that. Then I have a project called Leo's Gym, which is a half-hour sitcom, which is we're going to be hitting the
Great.
networks with in a few months. So
So
we're doing TV
you
too.
like to keep busy. It's good, isn't it, Nita? It's
great.
You keep busy.
I don't know any other
You
way.
keep, that is the only way.
Survive.
You really keep
Unless you
busy,
want.
don't you?
Yeah, pretty busy. Yeah, it's been slow, but then yeah, I do. I
How
love it.
about your own TV? I mean,
I
you've
know.
got to have your own show, Nita Talbot.
I hope they're not towing our cars
I mean,
away right
you-
now.
forget about the cars, darling.
right,
We'll give it to Bert Lang, honey. He'll pay for it.
You're right.
Do me a favor.
I
Nita Talbot, we got to see you on David, she's a perfect,
Yes, she's a
perfect
great
type.
type.
She's an excellent type.
There
And I could,
was a role in this show.
There is?
she would have done,
but
exactly.
I don't
She
sing.
didn't-
See, I have to
Yeah.
sing.
You don't sing, Nita Talbot?
My mother never encouraged me. That's the one thing
With
I
that
always.
low voice of yours?
The one
you
thing David Craig said, that's the greatest sin for the parents. He was encouraged with music. They love, but my mother always said, you can't carry a tune. You're tone deaf just like your father. You know, I'm like,
Do you dance, Nita?
oh,
Like a
Do
little
that- oh,
encouragement.
his legs. Look at those. Darling, you can't see it except these.
We're shooting.
Just show your legs, Nita. They go all the way up, I know.
danced like to die. I danced in with Elvis Presley, Girl Happy. I played a stripper. I danced in Bourbon Street Beat. I danced in a million. I love to dance, but
you?
that's what kills me. And I have sung skip, but it terrifies me. You see, they carry me away after. I mean, I can get through it, but I'm not Barbara Streisand. I'm not. You know?
I know. All that.
And it's like, oh, that's why I always encourage children, and,
No
I mean,
pressure,
don't
Tom.
ever plant a negative.
Hollywood, has it changed a lot for you, Miss
Oh,
Nita
God,
Talbot?
yes. Oh, yes.
Talbot.
It's
Been
different.
around here for
I don't,
years.
first of all, approve of all these equity waiver theaters. I think actors should be paid.
Paid.
They're so pathetic
Yeah, I do.
that they can't even pay their rent. They're dying, desperate just to be seen. It's like my daughter's struggling.
But where
She's
are they going to
25, she can't-
showcase?
I know.
They got to
so-
showcase somewhere. Am I right, David?
Yeah, but I mean, you're making money on this, aren't you?
But they're making
No, I'm
now.
not
He's
making
not
money on this.
really.
It hasn't opened yet. I've got, you know, we've
You
got
feel
the
the
company's got
producers
thousands
are
of dollars
making
and we
money
haven't
on
made it. I have never made money
On an
on the
equity.
ninth show, including I've
lot
done
of
two.
people-
I've done two off-Broadway shows in New York. I have never made a dime,
It's a
this.
showcase for actors.
and it's cost the company a great deal
It's a
of money.
showcase. Where are the people going to perform?
They benefit from it much more ultimately than I do, because I've had many actors get motion pictures, television series
Right.
out of the shows that I have produced. So I don't apologize to anybody.
No,
we take as
you're
good
beau geste.
we take as good care of them as we possibly can. I think Peter
Yes.
will attest to that. We do try to make life as pleasant and as comfortable for them as possible, and we do pay them. It ain't much, as I